In that section, it was adding that second violin back in again, now harmonizing again on that new violin melody that was going on in the background over these drums and everything. So again, that was that extra layer that was added in. Hey guys, Andrew Berg here. I'm a jazz musician, teacher, composer, and arranger. And welcome to this episode of Down the BTS Rabbit Hole. In this episode, I'm just being a little bit different. So it's not going to be a straight reaction video. What I'm going to do is I'm going to break down the Over the Horizon theme that Suga wrote for Samsung. And I just want to talk about kind of what makes it sound so awesome. First though, I'm going to react to a video as an interview that Suga did with Samsung talking about how he wrote this Over the Horizon theme. Now, I have already watched this as well, but I want to show it to you guys, and I want to talk about some things along the way, which I think will help make the rest of what I'm going to talk about make a little bit more sense. This is also the first time I'm making this kind of a video, so please let me know down in the comments if you guys like this format, if you wish I would cover it in a different way maybe, if you want me to explain some things more or less. So let me know down in the comments. I'd love to get your feedback on it. Before we get started, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so we can feed the YouTube algorithm. All right, let's get started.
안녕하세요. 네, BTS 슈가입니다. 네, 이번 프로젝트는 오브 더 호라이즌을 새롭게 편곡하는 작업이었는데요. 저 또한 한 명의 갤럭시 팬으로서 또 유저로서 너무 뜻깊고 즐거운 경험이었어요. 어렸을 때 연주곡을 듣는 걸 굉장히 좋아했다 보니까 저도 꼭 한번 이런 연주곡 작업을 한번 해보고 싶었었는데 이렇게 특히나
Okay, first thing I'm talking about is he used the word arrange. So in music terms, the word arrange is very similar to compose. If you do a composition, if you're composing something, that means that you're writing it like from scratch. You're just, whatever ideas you have in your head is what you write down. Arranging something is very similar, but it's just something that already exists. So if I was going to arrange like a sax quartet playing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star or something, that would be an arrangement because Twinkle Twinkle Little Star already exists. In this situation, Over the Horizon already exists, so this is Suga's arrangement of it is what we're going to be seeing. So I want to point out that term there just because I think it's very important to know. Also, it's really talking about how he's also wanted to do an instrumental track, because obviously Over the Horizon is an instrumental track, and I bet he's probably very influenced by film composers, just based on hearing the song and how it sounds and everything. Alright, cool, let's see what else to say.
영감의 소스라고 하면 너무 거창하긴 한데 그 이전부터 사실 이제 오브 더 호라이즌을 굉장히 좋아했었어요. 또 다양한 아티스트랑 작업했던 것도 다 들었었고 특히나 이제 오브 더 호라이즌
Okay, something interesting as well. So he said that he's heard different variations from other artists. I've actually heard some great arrangements from different artists who have covered the song over time. One of my favorites is Jacob Collier. He is a jazz prodigy. Fully recommend that you check out that video if you haven't already.
Over the horizon.
Very, very different in this kind of approach, which is what I love too, is that is different artists taking their own approach on this theme. And I think that's what even makes Suga's even cooler too, is because he went this kind of like dramatic, like film score kind of approach to it. Cool.
당연히 해야 될 것만 같은 느낌으로 작업을 시작을 했고요. 네, 굉장히 좀 빠르게 스케치가 나왔던 것 같아요. 그거를 관계자분들한테 들려드리니까 너무 마음에 들어 하시길래 라인을 반복해서 들어보면서 스트링 솔로도 녹음하고 기타 솔로도 추가하면서 웅장함을 느낄 수 있도록 공들여서 작업을 많이 했던 것 같아요.
It's interesting to hear his process a little bit. And there's a lot more here than I think it might seem on the surface. So that he sketches it out, which to me means that he either outlines it, it's on paper, or maybe just even figures out in his head kind of what he wants the song to do overall, like beginning, middle, end, if you will. And then kind of the sub-details as well, of where he wants it to go, how he wants it to be pushed forward into the next section, that sort of information. It's also interesting too, he said that he added the string solo and the guitar solo after the fact, because they blend very, very well with the music to where I thought that it was probably always planned to be in there. It really feels like it belongs and it kind of has to be there to make the song propel forward. So it's really cool that he added that after the fact and still made it sound that seamless. Okay, cool. So I probably skipped around a little bit from what you guys were watching on your end when you're watching the video. I did watch the entire thing right now, but I just want to point out those specific details that I thought were really interesting and that I thought were really worth pointing out because I think it explains a lot about his process and just gives you guys some terms and everything that you know when I'm referring to it in the future. Okay, so I'm going to break down the actual song itself, Over the Horizon, and I'm going to talk about everything I can think of that I think is worth mentioning and that I think, again, really adds to the song itself. All right, cool. Let's start listening to the song. So you can hear that kind of metronome going off in the background right now. It's kind of cool. Okay, it's kind of interesting. I'm not really sure 100% why, and I'm really curious to know. If anyone knows, please let me know. You can hear footsteps happening in the background, and then like an opening of a door, closing it right when he starts speaking. I'm not 100% sure the reasoning for that. Anyway, if anyone knows, please let me know. But okay, so that's what I'm talking about. So, the chords are pretty much the same throughout the song. So you can listen for it from this point forward and you'll know kind of what's going on. But the chords are going in kind of an upward motion. There's 3 different chords, and the third one repeats twice, which takes up a total of 4 different measures. These 4 measures are kind of what repeat on and on and on throughout the entire thing as far as the chords are concerned. And the chords are kind of doing, again, they're just ascending 1 step each time, which is kind of like a 6-7-1-1 kind of sound. You can also think about it as 1, 2, 3, if that helps you think about it. The only reason I'm saying that ends on 1 is because that's the key that we're in. But anyway, all you have to know is that having those 3 ascending chords there, what that's doing is it kind of adds a little bit of build each time, and then it repeats that build, kind of gets taken back again. And this entire song is all about adding layers and building until the final kind of climax of the song. And I think the way he does that with these three chords, it's a really clever way to just kind of add that tension, and they'll take it away again at a moment's notice. All right, cool. Let's keep on listening.
To the new world, to the yapping every day. Life opens up.
Cool. He added what sounds almost like a marching snare drum. It's really interesting. I wonder if he got the idea from when they were, when I think he was helping write On, because that obviously has a marching band in it and it has marching snare drums in it. But it was a really good way of now changing the section from one section to another. So far we've had kind of 3 sections. We had 8 measures that started off softly with piano chords and got louder and louder, and then it came back down again when he started speaking over the top of it, saying the words like openness in that section. That also built up again for about 8 measures. And now he has this this drum part coming in, which then signifies the next section's going to happen. And you can hear that it drops back down again in volume, because now the violins are coming in. Now the violin is kind of the most important part, so those piano chords can back off again. All right, cool. Let's keep on going. Okay, cool. So that was now kind of a violin solo for 8 measures. What's interesting though is your ear, went straight to the violin. But the violin is basically just playing one of the few notes the piano's playing. And they're playing the exact same rhythm the piano's playing too. By having the piano drop down and have the violin kind of be the standout right there, even though it's playing the same notes, it's still becoming that kind of solo instrument. It's kind of a really cool effect, and he just changes the melody just slightly on the end of each phrase. Just adds like an extra note in there, which I think is a really interesting way of kind of making it different while still having it mostly be the same. Again, which helps with the building because it never gets old and boring, and it allows him to still layer things and not get to the climax of the song too quickly. Okay, so obviously out of the second violin here, the second violin that came in was down about a fifth, I think, from the original violin, which again kind of mirrors what the chords are doing as well in the piano. Now what's cool here is that at the end of that phrase, you can hear the violins deviate just a little bit more than we've been seeing from just playing the exact same melody as the piano's playing with the chords. But again, just kind of like a little bit of something different before we're going to start that next section again. Really cool how he's doing that. Okay, so we added, obviously, more drums in the background, and I bet that this song feels like it just picked up the pace a little bit to you, right? When you're listening to it, you're like, okay, it's like, kind of has more momentum going forward and everything, and he did that because of the drums are playing, very much like I'll call it an eighth note feel. And what I mean by that is we talked before about downbeats and upbeats, right? So a downbeat is kind of what you would tap your foot to with music in general, and the upbeat is the note that comes between those two downbeats. So with this, what the drumming is focusing on is playing both the downbeats and the upbeats continuously. So you're kind of hearing twice as many downbeats, if you will, as you typically would. Well, everything else is staying in the way it is. So they're kind of almost playing this like double time kind of feel. Again, playing twice as fast. While everything else is still staying back. So it helps keep this momentum going forward a lot right here. Especially when the violins are now branching out a lot more and playing a lot more things. Especially that line at the end, I love. And again, it's just helping build this momentum going forward the entire time. Which again is the theme of what I'm talking about for this video, because it's how he is constructing this entire piece based on momentum and layering and adding different effects all the time. In that section, it was adding that second violin back in again, now harmonizing again on that new violin melody that was going on in the background over these drums and everything. So again, that was that extra layer that was added in to add even more to this section. And then having the break is what it's called. That's when, a break is when the entire band cuts out besides just one instrument that's playing. Like a solo break, if you will. So, solo break happens, which always adds so much tension, because you have this moment where everything cuts out besides one thing, which means you know it has to come back in again, right? You can't just have it cut out and then just be done. That would feel just so like underwhelming if that happened. So you can feel that momentum still going forward. So when it hits this next section, and we're gonna start hearing the guitar in a second, all of this was just building to this moment. And that violin break kind of to me is almost the climax of the song. And the reason I'm saying almost is because this guitar part is now going to take it to the next level, even past that. So we already kind of hit that main, what would usually be the main climax of that song. Now we're just going to take it up to that next section. And it's this part right here that makes me truly love this arrangement so much, is that he could have stopped here, brought it back down again, and just kind of let it peter out. But he took it up again, which just, and to say up, I mean up the energy, if you will, the momentum that's going into it. He kind of took that up and just said like, no, we're at 10, take it up to 11. And I love that it's now going even harder in this next section. Okay, before this guitar part finishes out, I'll make sure I'm talking about something. So the guitar part is playing basically what the violin was playing before, or very, very close to it. But what this guitar player is doing is improvising a little bit on top of it. Improvising, basically, it means that you're going to play what's written, but you're also going to change some stuff in it a little bit. Another thing that improvisation could mean is, again, say if you're a rock guitarist or if you're a jazz saxophonist like myself, you can have an improvised solo where the entire thing is improvised from scratch. This right here is him improvising over this melody. I mean that he's taking that melody and almost kind of arranging it, if you will, on the spot when he's recording this. And so he's playing the melody, he's playing around the melody a little bit and improvising the solo with the melody in mind. I'm gonna go back again really quick just to get the full context of this, but I think that's a very, very interesting point to think about when you're going through this, is how he took that violin melody and he's now building off of it on his own as a musician, whatever he feels sounds right and everything. Also, I would fully believe that Suga probably gave a lot of like notes to this guitarist about how he wanted it to build, how he wanted it to happen in this section. So the guitar player is still improvising, but is improvising based off the melody and these notes that he was probably given to help it reach the spot that Suga wanted him to reach. Okay, I'm going to play part of this again in a second, so I want you to really listen for a certain thing that he does. So I've talked before, I think when Caitlin and I were reacting to Dionysus. And the melody of Dionysus goes something like, where you can hear that repetitive section in the beginning of that melody, and I talked about how surprised I was by that because repetition is usually used to push something forward in a section. And that is what is happening right here in this improvised solo. Is you can hear him repeat some of these lines where he's playing something like fast section over and over again. And later on you can hear when he hits this top note, kind of the top climax of this song is that top guitar note. And he repeats it over and over again. And that's something a lot of rock guitarists do in that kind of moment. Because again, it helps build so much energy and tension and everything, which is again the climax of the song. That's exactly what we need to be hearing in this. So I'm gonna go back again just so you can listen for those parts again and kind of how it helps build and swell to this big moment right here before it comes back down again. Cool, now we're back in this final section, which is after this big moment, drops all the way back down again, very similar to what Suga writes in First Love. He has that big moment and then drops back down to this kind of simple section again. Again, fantastic way to write something, especially when you want to build a lot of energy and then you want to like bring it back down again suddenly. It's that great, I also use the word juxtaposition, and that kind of works again for this, is you have this really loud and then suddenly very, very soft. Which fun fact in music is called subito piano, which basically just means suddenly soft. And again, it refers to this section where he's in this big section, then drops down a lot into this kind of smaller section. Other thing I want you to listen for, listen to this last section, is I believe it's the violin and electric guitar are now playing in unison, which is an awesome combination of sound. It almost sounds like an electric violin with a little bit like distortion on it, but I'm pretty sure it's just a violin plus an electric guitar playing at the same time. And it's such a cool sound to hear in the background during this section when you have his talking over it and everything. I love that again, that contrast that you hear in this.
Cody yapping every day. Life opens up with Galaxy.
And then, of course, ending on the iconic over the horizon, ringtone kind of sound. Fantastic. Also, I want to take a moment to say that, I've seen all the comments and everything, everyone's saying it's so fantastic what he's able to do with a ringtone. And I want to make a comment about that, because I think it's very interesting. I don't think he approached this as it being a ringtone. I know that this is technically used as a ringtone. I can get it on my Samsung phone. And I could listen to it that way, and it's technically a ringtone, but I don't think of it as a ringtone anymore. So what he's done is he's taken that basic melody from the ringtone, and he's transformed it into this creation that he has. Which again, to me, sounds very much like a film score. It has that very dramatic kind of feel to it. And it has that combination of, I'll say, acoustic versus electric instruments, where you have these violins are acoustic, meaning that they would produce sound on their own when being played, versus an electric guitar, which only makes sound when it's like plugged into something. And having those two different forces kind of combined there, makes it feel kind of very film score-y to me. And again, adds to that build and everything we've already talked about. Anyway, I think it is fantastically written. It was really fun, too, for me to break this down and kind of think about, again, why it sounds so cool. Because, I mean, I can listen to this and I can point out some details along the way, like if I did a first reaction to it. But I think breaking it down and really understanding the details that go into it, to me, have made me appreciate it even more. So I guess that's kind of a good segue. If you guys, again, if you like this style of video, please let me know. I'll try to incorporate it more with some of, I'll say, their quote-unquote regular music for BTS. I know I talked about doing Lie at one point. There's a couple other songs like that I'm also very interested in doing, but I want to hear what you guys have to say. Let me know down in the comments, again, any other songs that you want me to do this kind of breakdown for. I'm really curious to know your feedback on that, because I really want to do this kind of video for other songs too. Thanks for watching. My name is Berg. If you like this kind of video or just like straight reaction videos, please consider liking, subscribing, and clicking the notification bell so you can find the next time I post. Until next time.